Hi, my name is Karen Slusher, and I'm here to talk about my school community at Eagle Crest High School in Centennial, Colorado. The big thing with my school is that we've definitely made some major gains in terms of how we're performing. We used to not be the strongest school in terms of district performance, which is normally a very high performing district overall. But in the past 10 years, we've really just done a lot to change the way that our students perceive their academics, and that has definitely made a difference for the kids overall. So this year alone, we have 3 National Merit semifinalists. Um, Last year, we had 869 students take the AP test, and of those students, 67% of them score 3 or higher. And later this month, we'll actually hold an excellence assembly that surrounds academic performance, academic and athletic performance, to really recognize the students publicly for the success that they've had. And then recently, for the past 2 years, our school has been the only one in the district to have no unsatisfactory scores on a district writing assessment called the High School Writing Assessment that all juniors take in January. Our school is known in the state for strong school spirit. It's been recognized multiple times, one of those through Max Preps when they came out to do an assembly for us following our boys basketball team winning state last year. We have generally really solid attendance at school and the different school events and the different sporting events. And then with that, we have an amazing performing arts and visual arts program that just get recognized on a regular basis for the work that they're doing and have been asked to perform multiple times at the state or at the national level for what they're doing, and have their art featured in various places throughout the city. We're very community oriented, and we offer different activities for our community to come out and get involved. We do a fall fest every October for the kids in the area to come and trick or treat in a safe environment prior to Halloween. And then we also do what we call our Spirit Bus during homecoming week, where we go around and tour all of the elementary school and middle schools that feed into ours to kind of welcome the kids, to get them excited about high school, to get them excited about the school spirit, and to make them really want to be a part of what our school does as a whole. Our sports programs definitely stand out. I would say that we're becoming more and more known for the success of our teams. We had one of our boys golfers finished first at state this year and was just identified as the Colorado 5A state golfer of the year. And then our girls softball team finished in the top 4 this fall, and one of the girls on that team was just named the 5A State Player of the Year for that. Our boys football team is currently ranked 3rd in the state with a strong chance of making it far into the playoffs. So we certainly have definitely a deep sports program. And then past that, we also have 3 certificate programs for academics. We have one that's focused on sci-tech, which really creates some opportunities for students who are in the science and mathematic fields to pursue those studies further than what they would normally do. We also have the journalism arts program, which is focused on a combination of writing, visual, and audio arts. And then we also have a global studies program that's focused more on the international and business side of things. The population characteristics, I think, are really kind of interesting. A lot of families will move to our area to get their kids into our school district. And so we have quite a few families who definitely don't have much education, but I would say the majority of our families have at least one parent with a college degree. It's a high school, so we have 9th through 12th grades, but the incoming classes continue to get larger and larger. And so right now our student population is about between 28 and 2,900 students, with the expectation that we could be close to 3,000 next year. Our gender population is just about even. And then I would say that despite our parents having some college education, at least a good percentage of them actually work trade jobs and are in more of the blue collar sector. And then on an interesting note, the racial breakdown of our school matches that of the US Census. And that has actually been the case since I started at the school back in 2005. We have a high immigrant population, and I would say the majority of them come from Africa. Quite a few of them come from Sudan and from Ethiopia. The communication channels that we use, we really do try to make sure that we are as out there as we possibly can be. We have a school website. We also run Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts. We have a ConnectEd messaging system that can send out audio calls and emails based on what we think the need is. We have an electronic newsletter that's called This Week at the Nest that goes out every Monday afternoon. We also run a Remind 101 for the parents that they can subscribe to at the start of the year. And then we also run a Remind 101 for students based on their grade level, and it's meant to just send out quick reminders for students about things that are going to be of importance for them. Most of the families, if they're going to be looking at news in the area, will turn to the Aurora Sentinel, which does a lot of focusing on the things that happen in our school district and our community. And so that's their main source of news about things associated to the school. We do have a wide variety of languages that are spoken at the homes, and so we know that there are many families that need support beyond just what we can provide in English. Our website actually has the ability to be translated into different languages, and so it's accessible for most of our families there. And then our email communications also will go out in Spanish and English. The different community groups that we would see, and I would say that this is really a pretty big deal for us, is that we have a very supportive adult community, whether or not they have students at any of our schools. In the last 7 years, we've been able to pass 2 bonds that have created some significant opportunities for our schools to continue to grow and to adapt technologically. The area is split politically. There's not a strong Republican or Democratic presence, and there's also not really a dominant religious presence in our school, although I would say there definitely, at one of the schools in our district is a much stronger Jewish presence that does affect district decisions. The students, in terms of groupings, are probably just split like any other school. We have our solid academics, and then we have the athletes, and then we have the groups of the performers and artists. But you'll see a lot of crossover between those groups and students who are not going to identify in just one or the other. We also have a really strong GSA community, so our Gay Straight Alliance is one of our larger student groups, and they do a lot of work to really create awareness within our school. Right now, sadly, there is a weak parent-teacher organization presence. It's going through a transition period, and we just recently brought in a new person to kind of head that up and to revamp it and to revitalize it. The leadership in our district, our superintendent has been a longtime figure in the district. He's been teaching there from, I think, the early 90s is when he started there, and he just kind of worked his way up in terms of what he did. He was a high school teacher, he was a high school dean, then a principal, and then he moved in and was the director of high school curriculum and instruction, and then moved into the superintendent's office. He's been really instrumental in some major changes recently, alongside an assistant superintendent who has been even more instrumental in some of our recent changes, including a school start time change. From there, we moved down into the school administration, who really oversees the leadership within our specific building. And then we also have parent participants that will come into our past meetings that offer insight in terms of their perception of what's going on in the district, how the students are responding to certain things, and what changes potentially need to be made from the parent perspective. And then we have our department coordinators who will oversee their various departments within our building. I think we have about 14 different department coordinators. And then we also have PLT leaders. So we actually follow the professional learning community model. And within that, we have professional learning teams. And then there's been a leader who has been established within that, who basically facilitates the different interactions that people in those smaller groups have to facilitate learning within the different departments. I would say that in terms of the characteristics of our leadership, we really do have a solid school board. There's been a lot of drama, I would say, within the Denver metro area surrounding various districts, and our district has been relatively untouched by all of the negative press that's been going on there. Our board and our union work really well together in terms of making decisions that support the faculty, but then also work to better the experience of our students. Decisions are always made following surveys of parents, students, and community, and I think the district does a really good job of wanting to make sure that they know what people think without making any big decisions, and making sure that they're making informed decisions. They really encourage anybody who has an opposing opinion or a perspective, even just some insight, that they want to hear those perspectives and they want that to be shared. And then I would also say the thing that stands out to me is that our school leaders will actually engage with the student leaders in the classroom. So school board representatives, superintendent, assistant superintendent will actually come in and visit with the student leadership classes to just hear perspective from those students and make sure that they're making decisions that make sense for the bulk of the students in the district. The economic conditions in Colorado are actually really very good for the most part, but the cost of living has increased significantly in the last 3 areas, and I think that one piece has been taking an economic toll on a lot of our families. So we're seeing a lot of families who are having to move to find homes that they can actually rent, that they're not able to pay the increased rent costs that landlords are asking for, and so we're seeing some of our students not able to stay where they were once able to stay. But other than that, the job stability is really good. We have a lot of families who are connected with a military Air Force base not too far from where we are, and so we know that there's some stability surrounding that and some support surrounding those families there too. The political structure in the district, I would say, is fairly mixed. There's not a strong, like I said earlier, there's not a strong conservative or liberal bend to any of the things that I see happening or that really take place. In the last election, they voted more on the conservative side, but despite any political leanings, I would say the community is more likely going to vote in favor of anything that helps the schools. And so no matter where that is established, we'll see the funding and the bonds be passed anytime that is on the balance. Social tension, I think it's kind of an interesting perspective for our students because we are a very racially diverse school, but we also know that it's not at the level that we've seen around the country. Despite that, we know that there are still uncertainties that we have to address and that our students have cause for concern because they're not sure what to expect outside of their bubble in suburban Denver. And so I think those are still some things that we have to keep in mind when we're making decisions. We do have economic social tension that exists between the different high schools in the district. Ours is not the most, it's not the higher class school, and we're surrounded by 3 very wealthy schools, and so we definitely see some tensions there. We used to have gang issues, but those have since dissipated. And then we still have some issues with GSA. Even though we have a strong presence, we have a lot of students who are just still really uncertain of who they are and who they want to be, and that causes points of confusion and stress, I think, within the school itself. Every year we put out a report for each of the schools, and it goes through the academic breakdowns. It talks about the racial diversity, it talks about gender diversity, it talks about socioeconomic support, and really just kind of digs into the structure of the student population. We also have information that comes from the school board minutes, so the issues that are being brought up there. And then we have past meetings where parents are actually brought in to interact with teachers, students, administrators to discuss anything of significance that's either going on in the community or in the schools. And then we also have parent information network meetings where parents are able to attend meetings at different schools throughout the district to get information on different issues connected to raising students. So how they can help there and how the schools are supporting those things as well. And then we also have student news publications. So we have a broadcast, a Raptor TV broadcast, the yearbook, and the newspaper. And all of those publications or productions provide information and insight into the school and community. The power structures that we have within the district is definitely top down. The superintendent will oversee the staff, the entire staff. And then his staff will really work to make the general decisions that are going to impact the district as a whole. Within the schools, you have the principal, within our school specifically, we have a principal, 4 assistant principals, and 5 teachers on special assignment, which are assistants to the principal. We also have department coordinators and the PLT leaders who take on those leadership roles. And then our administration will regularly assign leadership opportunities for other teachers when they have those opportunities arise, that they really want to make sure that they extend the leadership chances so that it isn't limited to just specific people, and they want that perspective and that training extended elsewhere as well. For our school, we really do have to understand multicultural issues whenever